Hi, welcome to Q&BA, a live video chat where I answer your questions about astronomy and space. Now on Twitter, El Mateus asked me, what do you think of the concept of a space habitat? Is it possible to replicate Earth's environment in space? The quick answer is yes. Yeah, we sure can. There's nothing physically impossible about doing this. And in fact, in a sense, we've been doing this for 40 or 50 years, actually, ever since we put the first man in space. Basically, a space capsule is a mini Earth environment, right? It's got air in it, there's food that they could eat and water they could drink, and even ways of evacuating their various bodily compartments of things that they want to get rid of. Now, I know that's not what you mean. On the other hand, we've built space stations. The International Space Station is up right now. There was also Skylab and Mir. The Soviet Union, back in the day when there was still a Soviet Union, had put up a bunch of different labs in space. But I think what you mean is something that replicates really what it's like on Earth on a larger scale than something that can just keep 6 or 7 or even a dozen people alive. You're talking about something like out of the movie 2001, where you can actually replicate gravity, right? And it turns out that idea has been around forever too. There are these things called the O'Neill colonies, which are basically gigantic spinning tin cans in space. It's a cylindrical colony. Do I have a cylinder here? I have a paper towel tube. Maybe this will do. You can have a cylinder which rotates like this, and then what happens is you get basically a centrifugal force outward. And so people would live on the inside of this thing, and as it spins around, they would feel a force downward towards their feet. And you can argue about centripetal acceleration and centrifugal force. I'm not going to do that here. The point is, if you're standing on the inside of that thing, you would feel a force outward away from the axis of this thing as it spins. And if you make it very, very large, hundreds of meters wide, it doesn't have to be as long as a paper towel tube. It could be squat like a soup can, for example. But if you make it kilometers long and a kilometer across, you don't have to spin it very rapidly, where that outside force equals the Earth's gravity. And then you can outfit this thing like a little ecosystem. You can put dirt down. You can have rivers flowing. You could have weather in a sense. You could have a light along the radial axis, which becomes your sun. And you could have thousands of people living on these things. It's a pretty interesting idea. It's been around for decades. This idea was popular in the 1970s, these O'Neill colonies. You can have them orbiting the Earth. You can have them orbiting the Sun. You can put them out to these points around the Earth's orbit, which are relatively stable points where the Earth's and Sun's gravity wind up balancing. I'm skimming over details here. But you can put them there, and they can hopefully be self-sufficient after a while. If you can figure out a way of recycling air, turning our carbon dioxide back into oxygen, you can do that using plants. If you can recycle waste products into food again, and you can stock them with animals and people, you can build a whole society there. And it's not unreasonable to think that this could be self-sustaining forever, because the Earth is basically self-sustaining as long as you don't overpopulate it and pollute it and do all the stuff that we're doing to it. One of these, something like this could last forever. Technically, can we do that? Kind of, sort of. We do have rockets. We do have a lot of understanding of how to do this, but we don't know exactly how to do it right now. The International Space Station is they're components from different countries. They were built here on Earth, launched into space, and then built by astronauts who went out into space and connected these things together. So, and by robotics. So, we have sort of the first few steps into this foray of becoming a permanently not just space exploring or even spacefaring, but space living species, where we can live sustainably forever in space. We've already dipped our toe into the ocean of the night there. I would love to see this happen. I don't see any reason why not. It's just very, very expensive. But I think it's a worthwhile goal and something that we should be doing. I would love it if my daughter's kids or even my daughter could take a ride into space and live in space and be able to see out her window the crescent Earth, the Earth underneath as it goes by, or even be farther away than that. What a wonderful future that would be, where we have extended ourselves into space. And that means that no asteroid impact can wipe us out. No virus, no dumb technology mistake will wind up wiping out humanity. And instead of being maybe a footnote in history like the dinosaurs or something like that, our ancestors millions of years from now would remember that, would have records of that. To me, that is possibly the brightest future I can imagine. So great question. Thanks for asking.